October 21, 2015, Back to the Future. We're here to talk about the future of business and the great state of Colorado and the nation. With me, Governor Engler from the Business Roundtable in D.C. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in Colorado talking about America's future and the future of our workforce and education, the importance of education. Love to hear your thoughts about the future of education and the workforce.
Jeff, here we are. The future's arrived, right? It's here. I mean, who'd have thunk? And here we are in Colorado. But I'll tell you, the future is really going to be exciting because we're at a time in history where I think there have never been more opportunities, and yet in some ways we're not doing a good enough job of explaining exactly what those opportunities are. And we're coming into a demographic time frame where literally the American economy needs everyone. We can't afford to have 20% of our rising generation sitting on the sidelines. We need them all ready. We need them all in the game because those baby boomers, they're thinking about their futures now, and they're thinking maybe it's about time to
They're here.
Ride around in that DeLorean and and check out a little bit. But who's going to replace them, and are they going to be ready? And I think we worry today. 5 million jobs available if people have the right skills.
That's a staggering number to think about. 5 million jobs currently open today waiting for someone to fill that. You've used a quote, Governor, about the states with the best schools win. Talk about education and that importance to really getting that trained workforce, that pipeline, and making sure they're ready to enter these amazing companies.
Well, I think the demand for talent is going to control a lot in the future. And it's going to determine where investments get made. And so if there's a state where suddenly everyone is graduating, and when they graduate, they're college and career ready. Not everybody needs to go to college, but everybody's going to need skills. In fact, I think one of the things about the future, what we know, the old blue collar jobs are kind of gone, but they've been replaced by something that's a lot more exciting, the blue tech jobs. There's a lot of work to be done where you're using technology, the kind of skills that were necessary to build this old DeLorean back when, they still need these. Now, part of that construction today might be done by machines, but somebody'd have to be programming those machines. The quality that any product or any services demands today in the hyper-competitive marketplace is such that, again, young people or somebody who's 30 years old and says, man, I am unhappy in my 3 part-time jobs that don't pay me anything. If you're going to have a good job, you're going to have the right skills.
What concerns you and the Business Roundtable and the CEOs you work with? What is that thing that keeps them up at night, just like a small business owner?
Well, I look at it this way. As a nation, we spend almost $700 billion on public education annually. It's an investment that, compared to anybody in the world, dwarfs them. We're not getting return on that investment that's adequate. And so I think we've got to do a better job of helping parents, or in many cases today it's a single parent. We got an awful lot of kids in school who really only got one parent in the home. But we've got to start to have that conversation with that young woman, that young man. What is it you like? What do you want to do? And how are we going to get you ready for it? Because here's all of your neighbors, here's your country or your state, your community wanting to spend a lot of money to help you, young person, get ready. Or, frankly, we're also willing to help the person we failed with that dropped out and they're kind of knocking about and, maybe they're working growing pot out here in Colorado. I don't know, but, that may not be the future for them. Maybe they're really going to have a job. And so what are the skills they have to have? And we've got schools, high schools, we've got community colleges, we've got universities, we've got private training programs. All of that focused properly, I'm confident we can do the job.
You seem very optimistic about the future and the future of American business and the direction that we're heading. Why are you so optimistic?
Well, we've done it before. And I think today's generation, if we look at the young men and women who go in the military, for example, they're spectacular. Their abilities there, and an awful lot of those young men and women went in without very much skill. But boy, when they got into a program and they were focused and they were trained, could they ever deliver? Well, guess what? We're seeing the same thing happen in a factory today. We're seeing it happen in a retail establishment. We're seeing it in the service sector. There are wonderful examples of success. And what we just have to make sure is everybody understands that they've got to have their part. And I think we got to get the work ethic back. You know, I mean, we can't have people saying, well, gosh, I mean, some families work, our family doesn't. No, that won't work. So, you know, we got to change that mentality a little bit. And I think maybe there's been a little bit too much of, you know, just kind of feeling sorry. Why wasn't it easy? Well, it's never very easy. But today, the tools are all laying there. Let's show them how to pick them up and use them and get ready.
I am so encouraged about the future. My background is actually public education before I got into business, and there's a lot of negativity surrounding the kids and the futures, and they see them with the saggy pants and hanging out on street corners and doing things that parents might look at that and say, we've got problems and the future's bleak, and if that's the future of America right there, woe is us. They have not spent the time with those kids that are bright, sharp, intelligent, articulate, that are really, I think, going to drive the future. And what does the future look like, and what are we looking at in 20 or 30 years? These are brilliant, talented minds. And as you said, I think it's imperative upon us, and I think it's our charge in the business community to really provide that environment, right? That business climate and culture that continues to foster that innovation, to give these kids that opportunity to put those fertile minds to work, to continue to drive the economy, to keep America as that leading nation. Sure. To drive us forward.
I think you're exactly right. And remember, this is all going to happen. One of the questions is going to happen in this country, because there's other countries that are looking at us and say, well, man, I think we can take the U.S. I think our kids, our young people, we're better organized, or we're going to work harder. We're going to enjoy the next 20 years the way they've enjoyed the last 40 years. So we're going to try to take that away. So I think, you know, and we shouldn't, it's not a zero-sum game. I mean, we only have 4% of the world's population here. So we're going to be engaged globally, but our 4% ought to be sort of at peak performance. And one of the things that's pretty interesting, you mentioned your background in education, you're seeing this today a lot as some of the baby boomers step out of the workforce. We're seeing a number of people go back into education and take some of those lifelong experiences now and try to help. And they're doing this in some cases in the high school level. In other cases, they're doing it in the community college, but they're taking their skills and saying, hey, one thing I can do is help impart the knowledge I've gained over a 30-year career to this rising generation.
Yeah. Governor Engler, to a bright future.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Jeff, very much.
You bet.